we would herd sheep, and as we would herd sheep, that's when I would challenge him to race me, and he'd always beat me.
What's up, guys? My name is Rob, and this is Rob on the Run podcast, a running podcast for all healthy lifestyles. And today we have the pleasure, my biggest honor, to have Leo Manzano. Leo Manzano is an Olympic silver medalist from the Olympics. What was it? Oh my God, I'm freezing up here.
It was the 2012 Olympics.
There you go, 2012 Olympics. I even have it written down. I written down and put it in big letters so I wouldn't freak out or whatnot. But yes, 2012 Olympics in London. So Leo, I don't want to go through all your repertoire of achievements. I'd rather you do it yourself. So how you doing, first of all?
Rob, I'm doing well. I guess with I know your show's gonna air a little later. Obviously today's September 11th, and just a big salute to all the countrymen and people that have served in this country.
Yes, for sure.
And then just my heart going out to just everybody that's been affected in one way or another by just any recent tragedies that have happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Start off with that, I guess. Yeah.
No, definitely. It's a very important day to remember and think about all the heroes that risked their lives after all the tragedy that happened. And small little story, man. I actually got to go to New York to do the New York City Marathon a couple years ago in 2021 and 2012, and 2021 and 2022. Sorry. And it was a surreal experience. It was, going there, seeing, the names of every single person that passed. And, I could not make myself take a picture. A lot of people are taking selfies or whatnot, and I just could not do it. I felt like that was kind of disrespectful because it's not for a social media thing, I guess. I want to pay my respects, but I respect everybody what they want to do, not criticizing. But for me, at least when I was there, it was such a surreal experience. I'm not gonna lie to you, Leo. I actually shed a couple tears because it's so powerful, knowing that these two ginormous buildings were here, and so many people were working that day, and for it to crumble to the ground the way it did. It really is a very sad time in history, but also now it's a very important day to remember all those people and the people that went in there to save lives, which is amazing what they did. So thank you for bringing that up because yes, today's September 11th. This will air a couple weeks from now, but it's very important regardless to pay homage to these people. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Leo. But other than that, how did you start running, first of all?
Yeah, so my family is originally from Central Mexico in the state of Guanajuato, Mexico.
Okay.
And I guess just to kind of give you kind of a short and a long answer, I've been running now for close to almost 28 years. I became a coach right about maybe about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
I work with athletes all over the world as an athlete representative. But now recently I've kind of been dipping more into the coaching side. But I started running in Central Mexico, the state of Guanajuato, with my grandfather actually.
Okay.
And so I would challenge him to race. We would go and we would herd sheep, and as we would herd sheep, that's when I would challenge him to race me, and he'd always beat me and stuff. But it was just this one day he was riding a horse, and he fell off the horse and he broke his foot.
Oh, wow.
And then, so I'm like 4 at the time. And then, so I missed running with him. So I started just begging and annoying him, like, hey, just race me. Probably also knowing that he had a hurt foot. But I raced him, and, he was still in crutches, and that technically was my first victory. So
probably one of the biggest ones, right, at the time, knowing that you
at
overcame.
Time, and it's kind of like everybody has these amazing memories of when they first started doing something, right? And people sometimes ask me like, why are you sharing that? I'm like, they're like, because sometimes they think it's a little cheesy, but I'm like, well, it was the first one out. It's the
Yeah.
first one with the grandfather, with the culture.
Yeah.
Um, so it's anytime that and my grandfather actually passed away about almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. So anytime that you have these great memories of
Yeah.
people, it's like, why not try to remember?
Of course. No, and that kind of is like the turning point more than likely, I'm not we barely started this podcast, but
Yeah.
if you had to pick a turning point from where your running career started, I'm pretty sure it's probably around that time running with your grandfather. If you didn't have that, who knows what
Yeah,
would have happened?
absolutely. Yeah. And it's kind of, there's a lot of things that dictate who you become as a person. And,
Hmm.
obviously a lot of the people that are with you at a young age
Yeah.
also either can inspire you or it can really break you. So it's like, as people kind of go throughout life, that's something that anybody can just kind of remember. It's like, you know what? Like, what if I actually encourage that person today instead of just trying to crush him?
Yeah, exactly. That could be a turning point for that person,
Yeah.
right? Just the
Yeah.
fact that they might not be as fast as you or whatnot, but that encouragement of telling them keep it up, you'll get better, or you're doing awesome, could encourage that person to continue to do something like that. And you never know, maybe 5, 10 years from now, they might be on TV, and
Yeah.
running for the U.S. or something like that. So I love that you're saying that, because in the world that we're living, I feel there's a lot of competition with people against each other instead
Yeah.
of being closer to each other. I don't think the running world is that bad per se. At least from my experience, when I started running at a later age, I've always had that encouragement, and from
Yeah.
really good runners like my good friend Slim Michael Morris, when
Oh
I was
yeah.
living in
I know Slim.
Austin. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I was so afraid to talk to that dude, because when I found out what he was doing and the how fast he runs, I'm like, this guy's
Mhm.
never gonna want to talk to me. I'm like a 4.5 hour marathoner. This guy runs 2.5 marathons almost at the same time I run one. So, and me being
Mhm.
naive and ignorant about it, I came up to him once and I was all scared talking to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you run, man. I see your Strava. You're doing so good," and all these amazing words of encouragement, and that really inspired me to be also very positive with people that see my runs and see everything, and a one negative, not in the world that we live in, one negative comment can really shape a person to decide not to do it. So that's awesome that you say that, because it's very important for us to remember that.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think just a couple of things too, right? In terms of competition,
Hmm.
you have to look at it there's different levels to it, right? And
Yeah.
ultimately we are all brought together by running or health and fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it is health and fitness, right? It's like
Hmm.
if you're fit, you're usually healthy,
Yeah.
usually, right?
Yeah.
There's some exceptions out there.
Hmm.
Um, but it's also fun, right? And it's like running is a thing that anybody can do throughout their entire lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
I recently had so I had a person reach out to me.
Hmm.
We'll refer to him as William. And
Okay.
so William, he came to me about age 59,
Okay.
almost 60,
Hmm.
and he started training with me. And so previously his PR in the 400 meters was about 70 something seconds.
Yeah.
And the things that started introducing him to like more like called dynamic stretching, a lot of mobility, a lot of just a little more maybe explosive type work, general strength.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all of a sudden we bring his 400-meter time from like a 70 down to a 62
Oh,
at the end
wow.
of a workout.
That's awesome.
So, and it's for him. All of a sudden, he became like my best athlete. And then he just kept learning from me, learning from me. And I was like, William, you should just actually be one of my coaches. So now here in Austin, I run a running club called Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
Phoenix Rising Running, which is also in short, it's PR running.
Yeah. That's pretty clever. I saw it and I kind of figured it out after a couple of looks. I'm like, wait, this this has a double meaning. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, way to go. You got it.
It took
Yeah,
me a while. I'll tell you. This is coming from the guy that watched Fight Club like 5 times, and then after the
yeah,
fifth time, finally realized that Tyler Durden was not a real like person. It was a fictitious one. So it took
yeah.
me a while to figure the PR thing. But then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's what he was doing. Okay, very smart
Mhm.
there, Leo.
Well, it's also it kind of sometimes you take time to just think about things,
Yeah,
right? And it's like I think we all tend to like doing things super fast, right? Especially if you're in running or
yeah.
you're trying to get certain types of work done quickly.
Hmm.
But sometimes too, even just taking time and just resting or sitting on it or just allowing things to simmer. Usually, it's like the idea is just start popping in.
Yeah.
So,
No, no, good job on
bro,
that. I really enjoy looking at the what you do there, and it's awesome that you're you know giving all that wisdom to your runners because it's important not to just sit on it. You obviously had success in the running world, and it's awesome to see that you're doing your best to help others out. Like you mentioned, your best athlete turned coach kind of thing.
yeah, and I think a couple of things on it too is that there's all these different types of elements to running that sometimes people don't even realize.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess the first element, I mean, obviously it's a physical element,
Yeah.
but then as you kind of go along, it's kind of like a drop down screen, right? It's like, what does all like physicality mean? Like, you have all your workouts, you have your general strength, your
Yeah.
mobility, you're even your training partners that are with you.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden that as you become more competitive, becomes more of a mental and then maybe an emotional element to it too. And,
Yeah.
for some people, it's also becomes very spiritual. So you have all these like different types of elements and it's like, okay, well, what type of element are we going to work on today?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
different. It's different for everybody because everybody's level is different. So.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And talking about, your coaching and whatnot, going back to your, running, when did you realize you were built for the 1500 meters?
Yeah, so just along the way, I actually so as a yeah, so as I'm coming up through the school system,
Hmm.
really started engaging or really training to run about my sixth grade into seventh grade year,
Okay.
and all of a sudden it was just I had found this knack that for running that I just became really good. Maybe initially I was finishing fourth, fifth, sixth,
Yeah.
but I just kept at it as a sixth grader, and then into my seventh grade year, started running cross country.
Yeah.
And then I started winning races and including they put me in like two JV heats
Uh-huh.
and I win the JV heat as a seventh grader.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then after that, it just kind of started. I'm not going to say it was quick, but it started. There was definitely a lot of work, a lot of super early mornings, 5:30 a.m. or whatever it was in the morning.
Yeah.
And then one thing, the next thing I know, I'm winning districts and junior high and into
Hmm.
high school. All of a sudden, I'm a 9-time state champion
Oh, wow.
uh, for high school. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I credit my high school coaches who at that time they were more like football coaches.
Okay.
So I'm from a small. So after my family left Mexico,
Hmm.
we immigrated to the U.S. and moved to the two small towns actually called Marble Falls
Okay.
and Granite Shoals, right outside of Austin.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so these really small communities. And as you know, more often than not, Texas is known for football.
That is true. Yeah.
So so when I showed up, it was just kind of like everything was more football related, and then it was just all of a sudden I just found this passion for running, and along the way, I think there's different types of hurdles that people go through, and at least for me, it was always like I just always just wanted just to focus on myself and
Yeah.
really try not to focus on the negativity, right? Because at any point, anybody, there's always negativity around, and it's
Of
like, but
course.
how do you get through the negativity, or how do you overcome it? And for me, it was always like, you know what, like I know it's there. Obviously, I know it's there,
Yeah.
but I just choose not to give it the energy.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't know if you work that the same way, but some people, including myself, I feed off of that negativity. I if someone tells me I can't do it or
Hmm.
something negative, I will try my best to show them, you know what? Yes, I can do it.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's important to feed off of it instead of jumping in the bandwagon, I guess, with it and
Yeah.
believing in it more than anything. So, like for example, I'm training for a hundred K in December.
Oh,
And a lot of people
yeah.
tell me like, why would you do that? That's so dumb. That's so stupid. Like, don't do that. It doesn't make any sense for you to do it. And I'm like, why not? Why can I not do
Yeah.
it? What makes me less special than someone else that has done it,
Yeah.
And I feed off of that because when I do it, I won't tell them anything because I like treating people with kindness instead of
Yeah.
throwing negativity back. But
Yeah.
inside my head, I'm gonna be telling them when I finish that race because I know I'm gonna finish. That's more. That's
Yeah.
not even a question. Unless
Yeah.
unless I'm sick, and I cannot do it. I'm gonna finish that race, and in my head, I'm gonna go up to him and say, "Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
How's your day or something like that." But yeah, I don't know if that's how you feel about the negativity, like growing up and being an immigrant. That's a big thing. Coming from Mexico, like myself, I'm from Guadalajara actually, so not too
Yeah.
far away. But I grew up with a lot of negativity growing up, being
Right.
from Mexico, being an immigrant, in my own way. How did you have to deal with that? Knowing, people knowing that you're not from the US, obviously, and that you're doing so well. How did that shape you to become the runner that you were in the Olympics and you are now?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up because as you were talking about, you allowed that to motivate you, and I think that
Hmm.
that's actually the correct answer.
Yeah.
Because what I call it is fuel for the fire, right?
Yes.
It's just fuel for the
Hmm.
fire. Let it fuel you. Let it fire you up.
Hmm.
And I guess it kind of goes right into Phoenix Rising running, right?
Yeah.
So it's I always say, let me see if I remember this correctly, but I always say, uh, feel feel the fire and enjoy the burn.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
but yeah, it's like of course everybody's going to go through something, right? And
Yeah.
whether it's just being human, a lot of us go through different types of experiences or these types of challenges. But it's like, okay, well, how do you actually face the challenge, or how do you face the adversity?
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes it actually is better to face it head on, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, well, you know what? If I can just get through it,
Yeah.
it's all good. Like I'm going to show them, right? And I think it kind of just also goes back. I was thinking about this morning, and it's like
Hmm.
anytime that you start something new, a
Hmm.
lot of people don't believe it,
Yeah.
right? And so as I was coming up, it's like they see this little short Hispanic dude, the little Mexican guy running, and it's like, oh, what is he going to do? And
Yeah.
just, in his race or in my races, it was just like just watch him peter out, and then I just kept going,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I just continued to go, and then after a while, they were like, wow, actually, he's not going anywhere. He's here. He's here for the long run,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for me, it was just like one of those things that I also liked it and I enjoyed it. And maybe I didn't have all the money or the super support,
Yeah.
um, but along the way, it's kind of like if you start doing what you need to be doing, the right people are going to come and start supporting you,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And me speaking as an amateur, so maybe my opinion is not as big as, that you like what you've gone through in your career, but I feel like regardless of your economic status and everything, at the end of the day, what counts is what your talent, and talent has no price,
Mhm.
has no value, has nothing to do with, the way you could have millions of dollars in paying millions of dollars for trainers, top trainers, but if you don't have the
Yeah,
talent, it might get better, you might get better thanks to them, but at the end of the day,
yeah,
your talent, what you already have and you polish it, is what really it makes the difference between a regular runner to a Olympic runner, right? Like yourself. So, and
yeah.
like I said, take it from a guy that will never be an Olympian, maybe might win a 5K at a small town or something. But I think my talent that I have, because to run marathons, no matter what place you finish, it takes some talent and it takes some dedication, right? And I think that's
Yeah,
something that nobody can teach it unless you already have that. Like you mentioned, it's very powerful what you mentioned. You were a seventh grader and you were waking up at 5:30 in the morning. What seventh grader really truly likes to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to do that, you
there's
know?
not many. There's
Hell,
not
I'm
many.
43 years old, and when I wake up at five
Yeah,
in the morning to get my runs, especially in the summer, I'm like, do I really need to do this? But yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy, and it's empowering for, if there's any, middle school, elementary school kid that watches this, because it is family friendly completely, so they can
yeah.
watch it. Um, it's important for them to listen to this, because you are a very good example that, all that time that you put in, waking up early, finishing, like you said, fourth, fifth, sixth place at beginning, to being on a JV team when you weren't even supposed to be in a JV team,
Yeah.
that is all, your talent and the time and dedication you put to it. So I think it's very important for the young people to know that you're not going to wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm going to be an Olympic runner just because you say it. You got to put the time, you got to put the effort, and if you do all that, it's going to show up, right? And that's very, very
I,
important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've seen it time and time again, even perhaps with some people that haven't been so talented, but
Hmm.
they're just dedicated.
Yeah.
And it's like it's usually those guys too. I mean, I've seen guys like that are maybe not talented, but
Hmm.
they're just so dedicated. They get up early, they're doing the
Yeah.
work, and then it's just one day, just something clicks and they're flourishing and whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah. I mean, that reminds me about something. I read a book, um, or an article probably, about Hugo Sanchez, which is one of our biggest soccer
Mhm.
players in Mexico. And he even says that he graduated even the university with a dentist. He was a dentist basically. And he
Wow.
even talks about how he was not the most talented soccer player in his class when he was in
Yeah.
high school, going through the university. And he had such a big willpower to become a good player, that he would
Yeah.
practice hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and that only got him to be one of the best Mexican soccer players in our history. He went to go play in Europe, and he won a whole
Wow.
bunch of scoring championships. Like he went from somebody that nobody really thought he was going to be a professional soccer player to one of the most decorated soccer players in Mexico, and that reminds me, I know it's a different sport, but it's still within the same realm of, how much are you going to dedicate to that? You want to win this race, you want to make it to the time trials. What is it going to take to do that? You might not be talented, like you said, but if you put in
Yeah.
the time, something will click, everything will align, and you never know. You might be the next one running the 1500 meters. You
Yeah.
never.
Or the 100 mile or the
Oh,
Leadville 100 miler.
there you go, and that's one of my goals, man. I really want to run
Yeah.
Leadville, and it's going to take a lot of work, but I'll get there. I'm very confident. I'm not a cocky
Yeah.
guy, but I'm a very confident guy. When I put a goal, which I put
Yeah.
my goals in my mirror in my bathroom. I put stickies on
Yeah.
everything I want to do for the year.
That's
And if
awesome.
I put it up there, it's gonna happen. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen, as long as these legs don't break down on me. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. So it's one of the goals. Hopefully, I will be able to do that. But take us back to the London Olympics, the 2012 London Olympics.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I guess let's go
So
a little bit back before. How did you get there? What was your experience on getting first to the Olympics?
yeah. So I'm going to kind of say, I want to take it back actually from your last comment about your
Hmm.
notes and stickies,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Because a lot of that is also, so that's part of like what I call the spiritual training as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also, it's all a little bit of mental, it's also spiritual, because it's also part of the manifestation, right? Because
Yes.
these are, if things haven't happened, then it's like what's the best way or what's the fastest way to try to bring them into your realm,
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that you had the stickies example, because one of the things that I've always had
Hmm.
is I always would write them down on a sheet of paper,
Hmm.
and stick them behind my door,
Okay.
so that it was the first thing. It was either the last thing that I saw at night or
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that I saw in the morning.
Yeah.
It was just like you're just seeing them constantly, right? And as you're
Yeah.
seeing them, it's a constant reminder that that's actually what you're going for.
Yeah.
Um, but kind of going back now, after high school, or in high school, I started getting college letters and started getting recruited to different universities. Believe it or not, I actually still wasn't the fastest at that time.
Okay.
So I was one of the last guys to get recruited into the University of Texas.
Go
But I got to the
Longhorns,
university.
baby. Go
Yeah,
Longhorns.
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I went to UT on a track scholarship.
Okay.
And ran at Texas 4 years. During that time, right? It's just a constant as well. It's like nothing's ever given to you. Like people think like, oh yeah, just because he's talented. No, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of work, right? There was times, there were several weeks where I had to do like 100-mile weeks
Okay.
for cross country, or even for trying to train in the mile.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time. I mean, it almost feels, or I mean, it's a full-time job. That's
Yeah.
what it becomes.
Yeah.
And but it's just like one step at a time. So from high school, they're like, hey, if one day, like if you keep at it, maybe one day you'll get a scholarship. And then I always just kind of kept that in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, maybe one day I can get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And then I actually did get a scholarship. And so I go into UT, and then as I'm kind of progressing, they're like, well, if you keep it up, maybe one day you'll go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I just kind of just kept it in mind. Again, it's just because that's part of like, it's like these goals are just kind of like the stars, right? Like
Yeah.
you're following your star to kind of figure out where you're going.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what it was. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna, it'd be awesome to make the Olympic team, but what are all the things that you have to do? Just all the little things, right?
Yeah.
And so in 2008, all of a sudden I don't say maybe not all of a sudden, right? But all these things had to happen.
Yeah.
Become the first person. Become the first person in my family to graduate college, and the first person to make the Olympic team in my family.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's awesome. And what was the trajectory to get there? Like what races did you have to, where did you qualify to make it to the Olympics basically?
Yeah, so I would definitely say that, going, not to try to get ahead of ourselves, but one of the
Yeah.
turning points was getting into UT,
Yeah.
like competing for the university, because without that, it would have been really difficult for me to make that jump from high school into becoming a pro or running at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that being able to compete at the university level, gain all that valuable experience, compete, right? Because and this is one thing I say now, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
some people can look at competition negatively, but honestly, it's like if you're not a good competitor, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing your competitor a disservice.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it's almost like, okay, if you're not competing, it's like, and I'm not saying that in running, right? Because there's times where you can just enjoy the run.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Which
yeah,
I
yeah.
love. I love the just going out for a run and not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
But also, if you're actually truly training for something, you're competing in something, go out there and be a good competitor.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
agree. I agree.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess along the way, it's just be having that knowledge and experience competing against some of the best guys all over the country. One guy in particular out of Boulder, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I would he was like my college nemesis, and him and I, Stephen Pfeiffer is his name.
Yeah.
Big shout out to him.
Yeah.
And him and I would just go back and forth, and including, I had a funny story. I don't want to. I know we're kind of doing a lot here, but
No, you're good.
so we have Big 12s in Colorado, and
Mm-hmm.
at this point, I'd already been beating him and his team in a lot of these races,
Okay.
and so I go to so our team, the University of Texas, goes to a Italian restaurant to get pasta, doing all the pasta and all that stuff the night before.
Carb loading, huh?
Yeah, and so we show up, and the Colorado team just happens to be there, and Stephen Pfeiffer's there, and he was a very fierce competitor. He's still a very fierce competitor, but super nice guy.
Yeah.
But one of his teammates comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, Manzano," because he was also in the same race. So his teammate's also in the same race
Uh-huh.
that I was doing, or that Stephen was in too. And he's like, "Well, we'll see how you like that altitude tomorrow." I was like, oh, I was like, those are fighting words, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's true, man, because here in Texas, we're so closer to the sea level and Boulder and Colorado in general is so high. I remember I did the Boulder 10K, and
yeah,
man, I felt it. I felt that altitude. I'm like, holy cow, how do people run here?
yeah. And it's true, right? I mean, here in Texas, we're like maybe 400 feet there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's like, what is it, 7,000 feet or something?
Yeah, yeah. And if you I don't know if you've done Boulder, but there's a part in Boulder, I think it's halfway right at mile 3 where they have a sign and it tells you that you're at the highest of altitude for the race. And it's like, yeah, it's in like 7,000 or something like I don't know. I,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I made the biggest mistake because everybody I that has gone to Boulder for that race told me don't show up a couple days, go walking, don't walk too much obviously, but go walking,
yeah,
get acclimated and get a run in, go do a little shakeout run, so you can kind of get acclimated to what's going to happen because obviously you're going to want to race on race day
yeah.
and you don't want that to be your first time running. I was like, okay,
Right.
whatever. And of course, we decided to go to a couple breweries, and those
Hmm.
breweries turned into basically a pub crawl of breweries. And by the time I look at the time, it's already really late at night. And the next day, which I was gonna get my shakeout run, I didn't even wake up till like midday or something, and then I was like,
Wow.
whatever, I'm just gonna run this and see what happens. And of course, I
Yeah.
paid the price. So I can only imagine how
Yeah.
did you do after that? Did you beat them? Did you have a hard time with the
Yeah.
altitude?
Yeah. So I guess before I say that, though, I just want to mention that. So when you have one alcohol beverage at altitude,
Yeah,
it technically counts like as two or three.
I definitely felt it. Where were you when I needed this type of
Hey, you
information,
didn't
man?
reach out. You didn't reach out. Yeah. Yeah. So going back to that Italian restaurant
Yeah,
conversation. So yeah, the athlete said, he's like, yeah, Manzano, I guess we'll see how you take this altitude or something to the matter of. And I
yeah,
was like, dang, because I'm usually not very confrontational.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, but it's like, to me, it's like, I've always been like, less talking, more doing.
yeah,
So I usually try not to talk, but it's more
yeah,
about, it's like, well, let's go out and do it.
yeah.
So then the next day he's in the same race, and he's in I guess it was the prelim with me.
Uh-huh.
Him and Pfeiffer were both in my race, and they
Oh,
take
wow.
out the race. I mean, the pace is hot. We're probably going. So we're doing we're actually doing we're doing the metric mile, but
Okay.
they take out the pace at sub 4 minute pace, which is
Mm-hmm.
they take it out at like, it must have been like 158, which
Okay.
is a hot pace.
Yeah.
It's anytime that you're going sub 4 minute pace, it is hot.
Yeah.
And so I just stuck just right behind him. And
Mm-hmm.
then right about maybe uh, 300, 400 meters to go, I see a little hitch in the guy that was talking smack. And
Yeah.
I just did this, went right beside him, maybe hung out for 1 second, and then just took off.
Oh, so that was
Ended
that
up,
was your smack talk, right? Slowing down a
yeah, it
little
was just,
bit and
yeah, yeah, yeah. And needless to say, he didn't even make the next round. I don't think. Maybe he did, but I can't remember.
uh-huh.
Um, But then in the final, it was kind of a very similar thing. I mean, it was just like 300 meters to go. I move out to the right, just go for home. And during that time, I ran 3:41, which is
Wow.
equivalent to sub 4 minutes in the mile,
Yeah.
and also ran the fastest. I think it was also a record. I think it was an altitude record at that time.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And
Mm.
one thing that I've always saw when they talk about you is that you were so good at the end of your races. Most people would start hot like you said and fizzle as the race goes. But you thrived and your kick was much better than most of the runners, which is what you were known for. For example, I've watched the video multiple times, thousands of times probably, where you're running for the London Olympics and you come from behind. And it's crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy to see that because even the announcers, I'm pretty sure you've seen it, where they're talking about you and how you just exploded at the end, and it's amazing. You talking about this race in particular in London, I mean in Boulder, how you came from
Yeah.
behind, and you just hit the fifth gear or whatnot and passed them, and what do you attribute that you were able to do that towards the end of the race when most of the times, that's where, you get exhausted from, the pace. You would thrive. What made that such a big difference from the other runners?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind, I mean, the first word that comes to mind is
Hmm.
just practice,
Hmm.
practice, practice, practice.
Hmm.
I remember even starting that out. So in middle school
Hmm.
and in high school, so I would the coaches would have me run the mile, or
Yeah.
usually the 2 mile, 800, or the mile, and right after the mile, the 400 meters, or excuse me, the 4x4,
Okay.
four by four relay.
Okay.
So that entailed, so I would run the mile, and then about 20 minutes later, I would be on the mile relay team.
Okay.
So that already was. So then what was happening is, so I would do the mile, and then it was like I was almost like training that last 400 meters already.
Yeah.
So usually in high school or middle school, we would make it to district or to regionals, and then usually that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So, but that always allowed me to learn how to run when I was tired and kind of start really pushing through certain pains,
Yeah.
and also just to be a little more gritty about my running.
Yeah.
So when it came to actually just being at state
Hmm.
or any other race, it was like I knew that I had that in my back pocket because I was just like, like I've already done this before,
Yeah.
and these are things that most runners aren't usually doing.
Yeah.
Probably until recently, you've actually now seen more milers be on the mile relay team,
Yeah.
and they're usually one of their fastest guys on the mile relay team.
Yeah.
More in high school, not usually in college.
Okay. Okay. But it makes sense because and you can correct me if I'm wrong if I took it the wrong way, but I like to train, for example, um one of my last runs of the week is I train with the purpose of having tired legs,
Mhm.
because I believe, and I'm not sure, this is just me, trying to do something different to train myself.
Yeah.
I figured that if I run let's say a 10 miler with tired legs on
Mhm.
race day, I will know how it feels to run on tired legs, because you never know what happens on race day. You could feel great for the
Yeah.
first 10 miles, but then the last, 26, you're struggling, or the last six, usually after hit the wall for what they say, you start going through that point where your legs are tired, and you learn how to be able to go and run with those legs being tired. So that's what I do, and it kind of reminds me of what you're saying, that you run that mile by yourself, and then the mile
Mhm.
relay, and then once you get to the 400, you obviously already have put a lot of work in, and obviously what to do to hit a very fast 400. So that's what I think. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying is what I think in my perspective, because I love doing those tired leg runs, because although it sucks, again, you're
Yeah.
training your mind, you're training your body to know how it feels when
Yeah.
you're on the big race day, and you never know what might happen.
Oh, absolutely, right. And I think that's a great point, and that's very my hats off to you for realizing and really figuring that out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it does take time for people to figure it out, right? And another thing too is like I just kind of want to maybe add a little bit to that.
Hmm.
And so I think that's actually great that you're doing that. Maybe one other thing that I would just recommend is like just know when and where you do it, right? Because it's like as you're saying, going like training with purpose. Like you have to
Yeah.
everything that you're doing. And
Hmm.
technically, when you're a runner, when you're an athlete, everything that you're doing, there has to be a purpose behind it. And if there's not, then you probably want to relook at your training.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And it's funny because
Yeah.
it's everything for me does have a purpose. For example, Houston, I do Houston because I live in Houston, so I do the Houston Marathon every
Yeah.
year, and that's where I want to kind of push and
Yeah.
try to push that time to go lower, and push a little bit harder, because it's obviously a much easier race compared to like Austin, for example. You know,
Yeah.
which I am going to do it this year as well, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, I always try to have a purpose, and the reason why I'm putting the miles, doing all these different type of trainings and stuff like that, because um, I'm very competitive with myself.
Yeah.
I want to do better every single time I do a race, you know. And
Hmm.
so for me, it's very important to keep that consistency. And by being competitive with myself, you know, it I feel like it keeps me motivated to continue to run and continue to, you know, take summers, which sucks to run in the summer for marathon training, but it
Yeah.
keeps me motivated, you know. So yeah, I'm very very competitive. I always have that purpose, like I mentioned too with the mirror thing, you know. But it's very important for me to have that purpose or have that why. Why do you do this? You know, I'm a big why
Yeah.
person, you know, as well. So it's very very awesome that you know you say that, because it's important for me, and I'm pretty sure for your athletes that you train, pretty sure they have to have that why as well, which I'm pretty sure they do, because if not, they wouldn't be paying you for to be their coach, right?
Yeah, yeah, and and that's a great point. It's like for a lot of the times, it's like, so I do have my own club, and then
Yeah,
I coach at a charter school as well. So I get to see I've seen different types of realms, and
yeah.
but normally if you're on my club and if
Hmm.
you're not motivated, it's like I can't coach you. Like it's just like I'm sorry, I just can't coach you.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like people have to be very self motivated. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that people can't be coached. I think at some point most people can usually be coached. But it's like if you want to be good, like then you're already going to have you're already going to come to the table with that motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not, then it's like, you know what? Why are you even doing it?
Well, no, it's true, because I can I can put myself back on the spotlight a little bit, because when I started running, I finally decided to get a running coach when I decided that, you know, I wanted to tackle the marathon. And I'm not gonna lie to
Yeah,
you, the first marathon was a dumpster fire for of a race for me, but I it
yeah,
was my fault as well, because my coach would give me my weekly run workouts, and you know, I would not. I would skip one. I would skip another one. You know, it's okay if I don't do this one today. I mean, whatever.
yeah,
And it starts trickling to the point where you're missing a lot more than what you should. You know, and that showed up the day of the marathon when I did it.
yeah.
It was horrible. I mean, I finished it in like a little bit over 5 hours, but
Hmm.
it was a race that I was training to do a sub 4, even at that. And because of my lack of motivation, my lack of interest in some of these runs, like he would give me these track workouts, and then I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is too hard, you know. Like
Yeah,
completely just didn't do it. And but of course, I'm still paying a coach, you know. And
yeah,
maybe my first coach, because he's not the one I have now, he was just collecting money. He was like, hey, if you don't want to do it, that's on you, you know.
yeah,
Versus my new coach, you know, the moment I missed maybe one or two workouts on the week, he would immediately email me, what's going on? Are you having a family emergency? What's going on?
yeah,
Why didn't you do this run? It's very crucial that you do this run. It's very crucial that you do this long run. You know, all these
yeah.
things, you know. And that's when I realized, man, that's the type of coach I need, because
Yeah,
I need that accountability, you know.
right. Yeah.
And that's helped me definitely be a much better runner now than what I was when I was started. So yeah, if I agree with you when you say that. I don't even think it's wrong that you say, hey, if you don't have that motivation, if you can't do it, get yourself to do these things, then
Yeah.
I can't coach you, because you can't coach somebody that just is not motivated or doesn't have a why to why they're doing it, you know. And that's really
Yeah.
true.
And I get, there's also, I mean, there's different coaches for different people, right? Because
Yeah,
there's different elements of, or styles of coaching. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying that one way is right or the other, right? Like,
yeah.
maybe my style of coaching is not right for everybody, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, I do want to just say, so for Phoenix Rising, I
Hmm.
have like an on-site. We do on-site, and I'm
Hmm.
also going to be dipping into on-site and off-site coaching.
Okay.
So we'll be able to do both now. But I
Okay.
always there's something still about an element of showing up, because I still believe that 90% of winning and success is about showing up,
Yeah.
and that's why I like the group ambience of it.
Yeah.
So, about 3 times a week, I have my athletes meet, or they either meet me or one of my coaches,
Yeah.
but it's like, 90%, if you're showing up, you're more than likely going to be improving.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, I agree. And that's very important. Just the fact that you showed up to your run or to the workout that
Hmm.
you're going to do is it puts you already a percentage higher of success, you know? And that's kind
Correct.
of like the same thing that I was telling you with my first marathon. I didn't show up,
Yeah.
obviously. I didn't show up to all my runs, my crucial runs, that
Yeah.
I have to, my workouts, and it showed up on my marathon day. So it's showing up
Mm.
is a big percentage of you having success, which I completely agree. But Leo, going back to the London Olympics, how when you finally realized that you made it, sorry, when you finally
No, it's
realized that you made
okay.
it, how did you feel? What was the first reaction knowing that you made it, that you obviously had a goal in mind to make it, and now it became a reality?
Yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit. So in 2008 was my first Olympics, and
Mm-hmm.
then I went again in 2012,
Uh-huh.
and then also just barely missed my third one in 2016.
Oh
So
wow.
there's different stories, different elements, different things of
Yeah.
what happened in each one. But in 2008, that was my first one.
Yeah.
I just graduated college, and then became the first person in my family to graduate college,
Mm-hmm.
and then also to make an Olympic
The
team.
Olympic, yeah.
And it happens so fast though, right? Because you get out of college and then you're expected to sign with an apparel company, right? And
Yeah.
because you want to represent somebody. And during that time, I signed with Nike, so I had a couple choices between Nike, Adidas, and honestly, blessed them all. But ultimately, it kind of went to the highest bidder at that point.
Yeah.
Um, Ended up with Nike, ran for Nike for 4 years. But for my first Olympics, right, I had already been with the University of Texas, so I credit the university and the coaches. His name is Coach Jason Vigilante, and interestingly enough, there was the head UT coach. He wasn't necessarily my coach, but he was still the head coach, still kind of oversaw the program. His
Yeah.
name is Bubba Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
And so interestingly enough, he was friends with one of my seventh grade PE teachers.
Oh wow.
And so he was always just behind the scenes, and he like knew that I was there all the time. So he's kind of been a guy that I've always kind of just gone back to for certain things. And actually even still today, like he's a guy that I go to, which is really interesting. I'm like, and he's always kind of just been behind the scenes
Yeah.
or back. Like, but yeah, it's so university, having that full experience. That was kind of the not saying the stepping stone, but maybe the catapult into becoming an Olympian,
Yeah.
and just competing at that level with the the best of the best.
Yeah, yeah. And were you ever intimidated being in the Olympics? Well, finally, actually being there, running your first heat. Like, how did you feel? Now, like you said, you're within the
Yeah.
best of the best. And regardless of where you finish, if you
Mhm.
make it to the final or not, you are already part of the like the elite. What 5% in the world or something like that?
Yeah,
So
it's a small percentage.
yeah,
Yeah, so I was 22, almost 23 at the time.
yeah.
I was one of the youngest athletes. There was myself and one other guy. We were like the youngest athletes at that time in the
Mhm.
Olympics. And so at that point, it's like even just making it there, you're like wide eyed and like, whoa, I can't believe, from a small town, Marble Falls, but even then, like from like coming from a small town or little community back in Mexico, it's
Yeah,
like, hey, I can't believe this is happening, right? Or that I did this again. It's I'm gonna just say like you can't discredit the work. It takes a lot of work to get there
yeah,
and a lot of effort. And of course, it's like by you doing the work, putting in the hours and the time. Like none of this is given
yeah.
to you, but also like having people like the people support, right? Like your coaches. It's like without them, it's also pretty hard to be on that level as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but just being 22, 23, yeah, it was pretty surreal actually, and especially and now that one was in China, so it was one of the biggest opening ceremonies, and it was beyond itself.
yeah. That's I can only imagine how it felt to be there as a first time Olympian and seeing all these people, maybe even some people that you looked up to when you were younger, being older Olympians or whatnot, and it's amazing. Every time I watch Olympics, it always brings a tear to my eyes because it's
Yeah.
I put myself in y'all's shoes and think about like all the time that you dedicated to this to make it to the mecca of your sport, you know, and you know, maybe things that you had to say no to, like, hey, you know what, it's the quinceañera of this person, you can't go.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you really want to go and hang out with your college friends that you went to, and you can't do that anymore because you have to be dedicated to this craft, you know. um
Yeah.
I can only imagine saying no to a lot of things, and maybe even losing some friends on the way, and then making it to this the grandest of all Olympic things there is, and being there, man. I can only imagine it's just surreal, and it's like a dream, right? Like you never, you imagine it in your dreams, but now that you're there, it's like completely different, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And going back to what you were just saying, there was countless. My family used to call me the Grinch because I used to hate Christmas, but it wasn't that I hated Christmas. It was just that like I was always by myself during Christmas because everybody would leave back to Mexico,
Yeah,
and then I would be here in the U.S. just training. I would just train, kind of be by myself. On occasion, I'd maybe see a friend, but
yeah,
it was, I mean, it was a very lonely time. Like, and
yeah,
being a, and especially not having teammates. That was another thing too. Is that like as you kind of grow in the sport, sometimes like your college teammates, they're pretty much done after college. Maybe you'll have one or two of them still sticking around, but it becomes a very lonely sport, especially if you don't have a team.
yeah. No, I hear you. And how did you do it at the 2000 Olympics? How far did you get to complete?
Yeah, so I finished during that time. I finished about 12th in the world, but it was also, yeah. I mean, there as you go in as an athlete, right? There's a lot of nerves. It's 5 days of
Mm-hmm.
nonstop so it's 3 days of competition, but in between you have an off day.
Mm-hmm.
But every day is pretty much, there's like nonstop, just like tension or like stress, right? The
Yeah.
stress it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
There's ways to manage it, but there's very high end stress. So
Yeah.
if you can imagine, I did that in 2008. I also did that. I made about 6 or 7 world teams along the way as well. So obviously the highlight is the Olympics, but there
Yeah.
was like 6 or 7 USA teams that I also made
That's awesome. That's awesome.
for for world championships. Yeah,
And you know, for the sake of time, because I don't want, like I mentioned to you, I don't want to take too much of your time, but we get to 2012. You know, you obviously have the experience of the
yeah.
previous Olympics. What was your mindset from what you learned from the previous Olympic? How did that help you obviously win silver in those Olympics? What helped you to get there?
Yeah, so in between the Olympics, you have 4 years, and
Hmm.
within those years, there was one World Championship. I believe it was 2007 in Osaka.
Yeah.
So first of all, being at an Olympics, that's already an experience in itself.
Yeah.
And then you start making it to World Championships, and when you start making it to World Championships, you learn that the level of competition is very similar, and so you start learning a lot. But in 2007, I went through this kind of rough streak where I kept getting hurt and I couldn't figure it out,
Yeah.
and so I had to just take some time. No, excuse me. No, it wasn't 2007. It was 2011. Excuse me.
Okay.
It was 2011 because it was before the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
So that year, I kept getting hurt and I couldn't figure it out. And so I needed to go back to the drawing board, including I was like, well, is this something I can still continue doing or not? Like, what's going on? Well, I
Okay.
decided just to kind of, like I was like, okay, well, I just need to take some time off. So I took some time off, and then I ended up just coming back to why I really enjoyed running, and it was just honestly something that I really love and enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got me back. But I did need to go back to the drawing board and start thinking about like, hey, why am I getting hurt? Like, why? What is this? What's happening here? What are the things that are causing my injuries? And I guess what had happened, long story short, is just like a lot of the strength work that I was doing was actually not working anymore. And so the body is just so smart, and I needed to start switching certain elements or muscles or muscle groups and just
Yeah.
different things in my body to get the most out of body activation or muscle activations.
Hmm.
And so once I started changing that, and then I was like, you know what, like if I'm going to do this, I need to really dedicate myself. started doing all the right things. I doing all the little things from all my like nutrition, hydration, the sleep, like
Hmm.
everything. And once I started doing that, I'm gonna say I pretty much went undefeated in 2012.
That's
Like
awesome.
I didn't lose a race up until the Olympics.
Okay.
So at the Olympics, I finished a second, and then actually, the guy that beat me, actually caught like 2 or 3 years later, or a couple years later, just got popped for performance enhancing drugs.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so and that's actually that's known. It's not I'm not making that up. You can look that up on the
Sure.
internet. So it's like there's also a possibility that I could have actually just gone undefeated that year.
And because he got popped and if they determined that it was around the time of the Olympics, wouldn't they have
Yeah,
already put you at gold?
yeah. So
I
actually,
know the
recently,
Olympic Committee is a little weird sometimes because I've
yeah,
during through the years,
yeah,
I've read up a lot on these weird things they do,
yeah,
just like what's her name, the one that won the Chicago Marathon. She kept her record although she got popped, which is.
yeah.
I know that has nothing to do with the Olympic Committee, but just the whole running, I guess, how things
Realm.
work out
Yeah,
because I would think
and
that you would be promoted, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word
yeah,
to gold.
upgraded.
Yeah.
They say upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Upgraded, yeah.
and a big shout out to a lot of those organizations though too, because a lot of these organizations, what they do is once they figure out, like the big marathon majors, once they figure out that the athlete didn't do it right,
Yeah.
it's like they're just like, hey, we can't keep this time. Like
Yeah.
we're scrubbing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would actually be an upgrade. And I was going to mention actually, big shout out to my one of my former teammates, Shannon
Mhm.
Roberry. She actually just got upgraded from the 2012 Olympics. So
Okay, so
she,
there's
I
still
believe
hope.
she's
There's still hope then.
yeah. So she's actually just now a silver medalist. Actually,
Wow. Well, you know what? If
yeah,
we need to start a petition or tell me what we need to
yeah.
do to get you
I
upgraded
know we
because
got to
yeah.
figure that out. But that guy did get caught. There was video evidence and all that too. So it's like,
Wow. But how do
yeah.
you feel about that? And you don't have to answer it, of course, if it's too much. But how do you feel knowing that you were that close to first place, but yet again,
Mhm.
obviously this athlete had some sort of upper hand, uh, doing up to doing that race.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that it's pretty disappointing knowing that or feeling that or just I guess knowing that, right? Because it's
Yeah,
actually he did get popped.
yeah,
But also I will say that I can sleep well at night. Like I don't, as far as I don't owe anybody anything. I can sleep well at night. I can go about my life feeling good about who I am because it's like as far as I know, I haven't done anything, so like I'm good.
No,
I'm
that's
good.
awesome. That's awesome. That's a great
Yeah,
way of seeing it, man. Because
yeah,
I mean, again, I'm putting myself in your shoes, and if I was there, I probably would be very disappointed as well. Because you
yeah,
as an advocate of the sport that you are, you want to make sure that the young kids learn to do it the right way, and having
yeah,
these top athletes that literally probably don't even need these enhancing drugs and stuff like that do it's making the sport look bad, and
yeah.
it's hard to show a up and coming rising athlete to do things the right way when they're seeing this happening, so it's very disappointing for sure.
Yeah, and I guess one of the ways that I tie it back into everything, right? Because running is a lifestyle. It's for life,
Yeah.
right? And we learn so much in running that just ties right back into life. And it's like, and if you were to do some like not great things, if you were to cheat in life in some capacity, there's consequences, right? So it's the same thing in running, right? Like,
Hmm.
people that are doing certain things, if they don't get caught,
Yeah.
there's probably still physiological consequences to what they're doing. So
Yeah.
it comes around in one way or another.
Yeah.
And I guess at that point, like I'm still good. I'm like I can sleep well at night.
Well, no,
So,
and you got the hard word to show, so that's even better, But
yeah.
being the first American in 40 years to medal in the 1500, how did you find out? Did you before the race, the final race, did you know this, or later on did you find out?
I found out later. I found out later, but it's like as I'm finishing the race, like I'm just it was again, it's very surreal. I always consider myself to be the same person, but only what happens is that a lot of people's perception now changes. Even though I'm like, man, like I struggled just like everybody else. Like I was getting, struggling to, either get up out of bed to go get my workouts done to to make sure that my bills were paid, like just
Yeah,
all these things, right? I go through the same things as a lot of people,
yeah,
and like, but people usually only tend to see right the outcome. They didn't follow me unless they did follow me, right? Then that's a little different.
yeah,
Like seeing like, oh man, the heartaches that I had, or the heartbreaks, or like, man, like he got sick, he had pneumonia, like how do just all this stuff, right?
yeah,
People don't usually see that. They only see it's like, oh, actually he just won. It's like, well, I don't know what he's doing, but he's winning. And it's like, well, yeah, but did you see me train during the summer? Did you see
yeah,
me train when it's like 30 degrees outside,
yeah.
or like trying to just figure out what like trying to figure out my coaching situation, or just all this other stuff.
Yeah,
So
and I hear you because it we only see what TV shows us, right? And
yeah,
usually TV or the media or social media now, obviously, most people only glorify the end of whatever you're doing, right? And
yeah,
it's very very cool to know. I'm a very big nerd on that, like to know the process, you know.
yeah,
Like you finished in second place, which you should be first, as we now
yeah,
made sure that we understood. But I love to know the process. Like, how
yeah,
did you get there? Like, what did you do to put yourself in success? Why? Because uh, I love to know that because maybe I can implement some of that on my training, you know? And so I'm very big on that. I love seeing the
yeah,
victories. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing,
yeah,
when the athlete does very well and he gets his medal or he places in the marathon or whatever it is that I'm watching. But I also love to see um, how did they get there? Like, what did they have to
yeah,
do? What type of training plan they had? And I'm more of a technical person when it comes to the running side. And
yeah,
but you are so right, because then in the world that we live in, social media especially, not a lot of people that are like running influencers or running athletes or whatever they call it nowadays. They never really explain to you how did they get there, or they when they struggled, or when they DNF'd, or when they had to cut their training run short because it just they were injured, or whatever it is the reason, and
yeah,
I think that's why most of the younger crowd only focus on that, because there's not a lot documenting all these things, so I'm actually pretty proud that you're saying that, because I wish a lot of people would actually talk about all their victories and their defeats as well, because
yeah,
like you said, you had to take some time off to figure out your injuries, and
yeah,
and most people wouldn't even know that. They
yeah,
probably saw, oh, Leo Manzano won silver in the Olympics. Man, he must have had like a perfect 4-year training season or whatever it takes. And in
yeah,
reality, there's so many ups and downs. It's just like the stock, right? It goes up and down. Your training goes
yeah,
up and down. So that's pretty cool that you mentioned that. And again, that's good, because if there's a listener that is training for something and feels like, oh my God, everything is going bad, but here we have Leo doing everything right. Well, now they know that you also
yeah,
struggle just like everyone else. So that's awesome.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure, and that's what I'm saying. It's like we're all human, right? It's just people's perceptions just become different, and obviously that there's like different levels of certain things, right? And so it's like just trying to find the right balance, or a balancing act of sorts
Yeah,
for different elements in your life.
for sure, for sure. And how did this? And we're getting close to the end. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No worries.
How did this being coming back home with the silver? How did that change your status as far as a runner, and as far as a public person that you are? How did that all change for you?
Yeah, so I think ultimately people have always seen me as Leo,
Hmm.
and it's kind of, again, I think what changes is people's perspective,
Yeah.
because I've always considered to be the same guy, and like
Hmm.
And I remember even, as I was kind of growing up, a lot of my colleagues are like, oh, there he goes, he's just running, and so it's like they didn't really at that time, it's like when you're starting or when you're coming up, it's like people don't really, not that they don't care, maybe or maybe they don't care, but it's
Yeah.
also it's like they just see that they don't actually see the end goal for anybody.
Yeah.
But even maybe for myself, as I'm coming up, maybe I didn't fully see the end goal either. It was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing because this is kind of what's bringing success.
Yeah.
And it's like I just kept at it. I kept at it, right? And then every shift, right? You get to one mountain, and it's like, oh, there's actually another mountain. And so it's just I just kept chipping away at these mountains, and then it's like the next thing I know, like now people are looking at me different, they're treating me different, but it's like, hey, I've always still been the same guy.
Yeah. No.
Even I actually had a run in with one of the guys that I would I would say like there's like different types of hate, right? And it's just like, but I was always kind of like, wow, like that's some hate, right? Like it's like, and I'm like, but I ran into him, and we had a good conversation, and he's like, wow, you truly are still the same guy, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still the same guy, like I haven't changed, but like obviously his perspective had changed,
Yeah.
but he recognized that I was still the same guy,
So
like
he
I
probably thought
hadn't
that
been,
the hype was gonna be so high on you that you were gonna
yeah.
act more I guess more of like a celebrity or something, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's more the people's perception, right? So the
Yeah.
people's perception changes, right? And
Yeah.
here's the thing, not to say that I don't value now, like maybe one of the things that I value more is privacy, right?
Yeah.
This is why sometimes I don't really put out a lot of things. I'm very picky or choosy on what I put out on social media, what
Yeah.
people, say. But it's because of I value privacy,
Of course.
but it's usually I think it's more that people's perception. Like I've always kind of been the same guy.
Yeah.
It's like if anything, it also kind of maybe what it is too is like now that I'm thinking about it, it's like when you start doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
um, then it's I actually got this from a guy named Alex Hermosi. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
When you start doing the work works on you.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back at my career, I mean, that's exactly what it's been. It's like, I've done the work and now the work's working on me. So
Yeah.
it's just like these are hours upon hours of time that I've put in. And now it's like, there's got to be some kind of honor in terms of just the amount or quantity or quality of work that you've put in. And then it just at some point you have to get rewarded because it's like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what you've done. You've sacrificed, you blood, tears, sweat, everything. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's at some point there's got to be some kind of reward.
Well, you have to rip the benefits out of the hard work that you did, and it's although you like you mentioned you are the same person you are, but that
Yeah,
body of work has to show up, and you've done everything that someone can ask for from an athlete, from
yeah,
representing your country the best way as possible to now ripping the benefits, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hell, I would do it too if I was in your shoes. I would make sure that people knew who I was, and although I don't want to change because that's very important, and I like that you
yeah.
haven't changed, but still get your flowers, get your kudos because it's
Thank
it's
you.
I've had some athletes. As a matter of fact, the two episodes ago, I had an athlete that made it to the time trials for the Olympics in the 2020 in Atlanta,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, and she tells me how much she loves running now compared to when she was training in
yeah.
track and field for UT as well. I think she was from UT as well, and she
Oh,
told me how, like you said, it felt like it was a job. And I think that's one of the common things that I've heard from collegiate athletes that I've had in the podcast, or that are friends of mine,
yeah,
and going through all that, because it's hard. I can only imagine
for
how
sure.
hard it is to be in college, thanks to a scholarship, and having to, in a way, perform to be able to stay,
Yeah,
in a scholarship. Because I'm pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Just because you get a scholarship, it doesn't mean you have the full ride. You still have to perform. You know,
correct.
and
Yeah.
and
At
that's a
any
lot of
point it can be
stress.
taken away. Yeah.
Yeah,
At
it's a
any
lot of
point it can be taken
stress.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 and it's a lot of stress, and I can only imagine what you guys as collegiate athletes have to go through to do that, and that's why I'm saying you deserve all your flowers and your kudos because you
Uh,
put in the time, man. I mean,
I appreciate that.
being the first time, like you mentioned in 2008, being 12, that's 12 in the whole world, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. That's crazy. I always say, like, I always bring up the NFL. I love the NFL, don't get me wrong. Go Chargers. But um when they or baseball as well. When they win the Super Bowl, they're like, "Oh, you're the world champion." No, you're not. You're
Yeah.
just a US champion. But when you finish first or finish dead last in the Olympics for the sport that you're doing, you are the best of the best. That's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. You know, you're not talking about you're the best just in the US. You're the best of the best in the whole world. Like in
Yeah.
2012, you're the second best, soon to be first, hopefully. But
Thank you.
it carries a lot of weight, and that's what I want to make sure people understand. Like that that is such a hard thing to do, man. I I don't think I would be able to manage all that stress that you probably went through going to three Olympics, man. Just not only
Yeah.
one, three
Well,
Olympics, you know.
I missed my third one, and that was like we call it like
Oh,
Murphy's
yeah,
Law. I mean,
yeah.
everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and it's like you always. So for 10 years in a row, I had to finish top three in the U.S. at
Okay.
a USA Championship or Olympic trials,
Mm-hmm.
and then on my 11th year,
Mm-hmm.
it starts off. And I'll tell you really quick. It started
Yeah.
off. My uncle got killed. And so then he was like my favorite uncle. So I had to help him through all or help his family through, my family, his family through just a lot of the funeral arrangements
Oh,
and all that.
yeah.
And this is an Olympic year. So this is 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm helping my family. And so then during that time, I kind of had a falling out with my coach because
Yeah.
he thought I wasn't training or I wasn't serious about it. I'm like, dude, I'm literally helping my family through their, this funeral arrangement
Yeah.
for funeral stuff. And so I had a falling out with him. And so I had to change coaches in an Olympic year.
Yeah.
And then not right after that, I come down with pneumonia that's resistant to antibiotic,
Oh,
which I
wow.
didn't even figure out until maybe 6 weeks before the trials.
Oh, wow.
And so then I'm trying to get better. I'm like, I'd lost like all this weight. I was like maybe like 120 at the time. I was like thin. I thought I was
Yeah.
gonna die actually.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then somehow by the grace of God, I make it to the trials where I qualify to the trials. And then so you have a prelim, semifinal, and final.
Mm-hmm.
And then the prelim, I somehow by the grace of God, I make it to the semifinal. And then the semifinal, it's the same story. Somehow by the grace of God, make it into the final.
Yeah.
And then the final, I get into like a pushing match with somebody and end up a fourth. So after 10 years in a row finishing top three, on the 11th year I get a fourth place, and it's like Murphy's Law. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but I'm
Yeah.
like, for everything that went wrong, for me to still finish a fourth place,
That's pretty
it's
good.
not bad.
No,
It's
not
not
bad
bad.
at all. Not bad at all, man. Going through heartache with the loss of your uncle, and sorry to hear that, by
Yeah.
the way.
No, thank
To,
you.
having to explain yourself to your coach,
Yeah.
families first, man. Come on. I mean,
Yeah, and that's actually important too, because now that I'm coaching and training athletes,
yeah,
and having and that's probably the good and bad thing about going through all these kinds of experiences. I mean, I've been through like 7 or 8 different coaches, and you
yeah,
just kind of see it's like, okay. And then on my end now as a coach, I that's one thing I think about. I'm like, what's actually truly important? Like, yeah, like being consistent is important, right? But
yeah,
also if you can include your family in whatever you're doing and
yeah,
spend time with them, because that's actually the most valuable. It's like having family and being able to spend the time
of course,
and energy with them too.
of
And then
course.
it's like, so anytime that there's like these family events, if you can make them, I say go, right?
Yeah.
The training's always going to be there. You can knock it out before your wedding or before whatever.
Yeah.
But definitely try to make those family events.
No, very important. Talking about wedding, I'm getting married on October 18th, and I
Oh,
think
there you go.
around there I'm gonna be like in the 20s already mileage wise. So I told my
Okay.
fiance on wedding day I'm still getting that running. I got to.
Oh, there you go. Well, I didn't mean to know. Somehow, I guess I must have picked it up somewhere.
No, but it's to me also family comes first, and my my mom's side of the family lives in Guadalajara still. So
Yeah.
even when I go out there, I'm already on Strava looking for routes to
Yeah.
do and stuff like that because it, like you said, and it's very true. Running is a lifestyle, and for me, it's become a lifestyle since 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And funny thing, that I picked it up because I went to a 5K. I didn't even think that you got a medal if you finished in like bajillionth place. And
Yeah.
when they gave me a medal, I'm like, wait, I didn't
Okay.
win. I didn't win anything. What are you
Yeah.
giving me a medal for? And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're a finisher. It's a finisher medal. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is the best feeling ever. And ever
Yeah.
since, I go for the medals. That's obviously my health
Yeah.
is really, really important. Don't get me wrong, but when you get that little
Right.
medal, and that's just solidifying what you did to get it, So
For sure. For
that's
sure.
what I
Yeah.
go for. But yeah, family is first for me too, man. Regardless of where I am in training, if my family needs me, um, God willing, there's no death in the family anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's always first. Like I have in San Antonio, I have my only grandfather that's living. He's gonna turn 91 in
Wow.
October. And of course,
Yeah.
no matter what I'm doing in my training, I'm gonna go on October 1st and celebrate it with him. He's a big wine drinker, still at
Oh,
90.
there you go.
Yeah. So I'm gonna buy him the best bottle of red wine that
Yeah.
I can find and go at it,
Yeah.
go at it.
There-
Some of my family members say, "Don't be giving him wine." I was like, "Man, at 91, he can have whatever he wants."
That's
Why
right. Yeah.
why tell him no? Let him
Yeah.
have whatever he wants. But yeah, I agree with you. Family's always first. But Leo, we definitely went over. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
No, no, it's okay.
at this point, we do have a question from our previous guest, which was
Yeah.
episode 32. You- Um, so let's give this guest a chance to ask the question, and then you'll pop back up and answer the question. Okay?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I have a funny question for
Okay.
whoever's on 33.
All right.
Who or what cartoon character would you want to run a mile with?
Okay, so the cartoon character that I would go for a run with, his name is Libra Doko on a anime show called Saint Seiya, and
Okay.
he's the older guy, the older wise guy.
The older wise guy. And why him? Why did you decide to go with him? Because I'll tell you the truth, and I told you before the recording, I went with Speedy Gonzalez because he's
Yeah.
fast and I'm not that fast. So maybe if I can run with him, I can start, maybe being a faster runner. So that's my reasoning. Pretty bad, but it's my reasoning.
Yeah, so this character is more like a teacher. So he's a teacher. He's
Mm,
also super patient, right?
yeah,
And when it comes to certain, I guess, when it comes to certain types of tactical um, things, I guess he's like really good at kind of pinpointing and guiding people at it. So I'm like,
nice.
wow, that's actually, I appreciate that. Anytime that if there's anybody like that, or if
Yeah,
I can ever kind of be like that, then that's
yeah.
kind of what really calls me. And at the same time, the person's like a really big badass. So I'm like, yeah,
Well, if it's perfectly fine, then you're a badass too. So
yeah,
it's
thank
perfect.
you,
No,
thank you.
and you're a coach, so he's a leader. You're a coach. It makes it completely sense um, why you picked him. But also, as a tradition on this podcast, we are at the point where you will ask the question for our next guest, which will be episode 34.
Yeah.
What's the question?
So I actually have two of them because I'm going to do a funny
Nice.
one and then I'm going to do a serious one.
Okay, I like it.
And this question was actually posed to me. I'm going to do the serious one first, then I'm going
Okay.
to do the funny one. So the serious one is what does it mean to be a human?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's the more serious one.
Uh-huh. And
And
what
then
about the second one, the funny one?
the funny one is okay. For toilet paper, when it goes on the roll, is it top side up or bottom side up?
Oh my God, yes. I love that one. I love that
Yeah.
one, man. You know why? Because I saw a meme not so long ago where they show the toilet paper where it's going on the top.
Yeah.
And oh no, wait, it was coming from the bottom. And
Yeah.
the picture of that. And then on the meme it says, if you put your toilet paper like that, you're failing in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always think
Yeah.
about that because I put my toilet paper top. I don't know what you
Yeah,
do. What do you do?
I think I go bottom.
Why would you go bottom? Now this is interesting.
So when it's at the bottom, when it's coming off like that, right? So
Yeah,
you can roll it
yeah. Oh,
or
okay,
square it, right?
okay,
I guess you
okay.
can still do it if it's topside, but everybody's different.
Out of the whole podcast, I think we have a controversy already with the toilet paper because well, that's actually a really good question. I love it. I love that you had two questions. Maybe we just started a new trend. Thank you, Leo. We're probably gonna
Yeah,
have
here we go.
a serious question and a funny question. That actually might
Yep.
might work out even better. So I'll give you credit every time that we get to this point because you came up with the idea. But that's awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
very
I
awesome.
appreciate that.
And
Yeah, yeah.
as a tradition, also, I want you to answer the first question because you already answered the second question, basically.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to be a human?
Well, I'm actually so I would like to answer it, but I think that this is such a deep question that I think it takes more time to really fully answer it. And it's something I'm still kind of really fully thinking myself.
Okay.
But there's so much to it, I think. So it's a really deep
Well,
question.
maybe we can have this answered soon. Maybe, hopefully, we're with a beer or two, and maybe we can have
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
answer we have a couple beers. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I also so with Phoenix Rising Running, it's a community. So we have
Mhm.
a community aspect, and then we have more of the serious training.
Okay.
The serious that's more paid for.
Yeah.
But I always want to kind of leave the door open for anybody that just still wants to be a part of the community. So
Yeah.
if you or any of your guests would like to be added to our WhatsApp group,
Yeah.
just let me know. We'd love to add you guys. It's a PG community, but we're like super supportive.
Okay.
As you know, we're probably over. I guess with the coaches that we have on there, it's probably over 100 years of experience
Nice.
in terms of running. So and it's also one of those communities that I'd say that if you're driving down like an I-35 or I-10 and you get a flat tire,
Yeah.
you just pop in. It's like, hey, I got a flat tire here. Can anybody help?
Yeah.
And it's like I would imagine that two or three people would be like, hey, I'm on my way.
That's awesome. No, I definitely, I'll raise my hand. I definitely would like
Okay.
to be at it. I do go to Austin a lot. I'm a season ticket holder for the Austin FC. So
Oh, there you
summertime,
go.
summertime, I'm here all the time, man. I'm
Yeah,
I'm in Austin all the time, and
yeah,
that's the only compromise I could do with my fiance, because we
yeah,
we, we moved when what 2020 like three, I think, or something like that. No, actually 2022. And the reason why we moved is because I got sent to work from home, and then her job was relocating her back to Houston. So there was no point of us staying since I was at home. I wasn't going
yeah,
to the campus anymore. So, but I told her the only thing that will keep me a Austinite is keeping my tickets. And she's like,
yeah.
okay, okay, keep them. If that's the
That's
only
awesome.
thing you want to keep, and you're not gonna put not giving me a hard time that we're moving to Houston, then by all means keep them. So I'm still a season ticket holder. We'll be there next week, this weekend, I think, to see him
Okay.
play, or no, 2 weeks from now, to see him play. Very important game. We need to win it so we can stay in playoff contention. So I'm definitely going to go over there.
Yeah.
So maybe I can catch up with you, and we can have an off the screen answer,
Yep.
and and see how you're doing. But Leo, again, thank you very very much for your time. I really do
Absolutely.
appreciate it. We definitely went over time, but I
No, all
really
good.
admire what you've done for, the American community and for the Mexican community, because I consider myself a Mexican American just because I was born in Mexico, but most of my life I lived it here in the United States, and
Yeah.
I've been given a great life, better than what I expected being in the United States, and you being a representative of both sides, and doing what you did in the Olympics, and such a great advocate to running. I will take the baton and say thank you very much for what you do and what you continue to do. But are you racing? Are you doing any races in the fall?
So I'm not. I have a lot of athletes that are. So right now I'm
Okay.
also a coach at it's called Valor South here in
Okay.
South in like South Austin,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also coach a group, the Phoenix Rising group. So there's a couple of events that we'll be attending. So Valor South, a lot of my athletes will be racing. They actually race tomorrow and then on Saturday.
Okay.
And then we'll be racing all the way up through November.
Okay.
That's a team. And then the same thing with my Phoenix Rising group. We'll also have a couple runs along the way where we go places, or we'll have kind of some open runs for people on. It's usually like a Saturday. Right now we're doing it about once a month, so it's just an open run where people come and hang out, and we go hang out at the park. So
sweet. And for the people that I highly doubt that they don't know you, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so they can find me. I'm mainly on Instagram, so it's Instagram at Leo Manzano, or if they also want to support a running club, it's Phoenix Rising Running on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, again, Leo, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time. But before we leave, the biggest questions that I want to ask you too.
Okay.
One, where do you keep your medal?
It's actually right next. It's right now. It's underneath the TV. It's by the door. No, normally it's not there. I've only put it there only because I used to kind of keep it. Probably, I'm gonna say in a sock drawer.
Okay.
But I was like, after a while, I'm like, you know what? I think it's okay for me to bring it out. I think it's okay.
Actually, it'll turn to 3 questions. Are they really heavy? The medals really heavy? Because they got to be solid.
Yeah. So it is actually. I'm gonna say yes. It's kind of heavy.
Nice.
So you definitely don't want to get hit in the head with it.
Well, maybe that's why you left it on the door by the table.
Yeah,
if someone comes in, there you go. And we talked about this before the podcast because I was curious for you to tell me about it. What's behind you? Can you tell us?
Yes.
What it is?
So this is it's the wheel from the Penn Relays, and this one's from 2008. The most outstanding college athlete, men's relays. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, it's from Penn Relays, and Penn Relays is one of the oldest track meets in the country. So it's like over 100 years old.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. And they give it to you that way, like framed, or you framed it?
So it's already like that. It's like a wheel. So this is a small one. And along the way, competing at Penn Relays, there's one that's probably about 4 times that big.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
You only get it if you win the team DMR 4x4, 4x8, or a big relay.
That's awesome.
I mean, it is huge.
Well, it looks huge. That one looks huge. So I can only imagine 4 times that. It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my last questions. I promise, Leo. Again, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we can have those beers and really get that answer from you once we're in person, man.
Let's coordinate.
And add me to that WhatsApp. That would be awesome. I love it.
I will. I'll do that as soon as I get up.
All righty, but you have yourself a good day, and thank you very much for your time, Leo.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.